Joe. Awesome, Joe. How are you doing today?
I'm great.
Fix my lighting. All right. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for doing this interview again. We've come a long way since our initial interview.
Yeah.
Well, I am excited to have you here to not only share your success and your progress with using Facebook ads, but also to share with our audience what your business is because I love what you do. So let me just make sure I've got this shared in all the right places, get my screen situated. If anyone is joining on with us live, let us know where you are watching from and what's the weather like. And are you ready for Christmas? Got all your shopping done? Me, not so much, but I don't have much to do. I just got to get groceries. So we are all set. I've got all my screens open. So again, welcome, Joe, and happy Monday to you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm excited to have you here today, and I want to share just a little bit of background on how we met and how your business has been growing and prospering with Facebook ads. So, for those who don't know, my name is Cecilia. I am known as the digital marketing maven, and I teach Facebook ads to online business owners. I teach how to create highly successful and profitable Facebook ads without a huge ads budget or experience. And Joe and I met through one of my workshops. So when we did our initial interview, she was just getting started, just learning the ropes, and she has traveled 1,000 miles since that initial interview. So Joe, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, good morning. I am Joe Langston, and I work exclusively with women who have a shortfall in retirement savings. So I help them learn a way to pick a date, retire, and not have to keep on working.
And I love that because so many people are not prepared for retirement. You know, whenever I go to the Walmart or I'm at the gas station and I see a person working there of a certain age, I always wonder, are they there because they want to get out of the house and they want something to do? Or are they there because they need the income to maintain their standard of living? So I love, love, love what you do. So, Joe, please tell us where you were before we met in your business.
Um, I was at a place of overwhelm because I had tried really, really, really hard to reach women through Facebook ads, but had very, very poor direction and coaching previously. And it really put me in a state of stuck. I didn't want to try again. And
Right.
I was on this quest to find somebody who could meet me where I was at,
Mhm.
which was scared to go forward, had spent a lot of money trying to move forward,
Mhm.
but wanted to get over that hurdle. And then I met you.
Awesome. I love that. Now, you've tried a few things before we connected. Can you tell us about that experience or experiences?
Um, there are a lot of um, coaches or trainers out there that believe that it's a simple matter of throwing money at it to make to make forward progress, and it really isn't. It's about understanding why you're doing what you're doing. And I spent the first 6 months of my business working in a space with somebody who was never ever going to help me be successful.
Mhm.
That's where I was.
And that is so frustrating because a lot of us, including me, I just got caught up in the trap back in November. So it happens to the best of us. We personally have the best of intentions. We follow these people online. This particular person I've been following for over a year.
No.
And we follow these people online. And when we finally get ready to pull the trigger, we put our money where our mouth is. And then, right?
Right. Right.
We don't get what we bargained for. So I love that you didn't use that as an excuse to get out of the game altogether. So that is perfect. So tell me, what connected you to me and my workshop?
Your workshop was 5 days of just jam-packed knowledge. And in addition to taking the time to spend with us during the workshop, you also did VIPs at night and just kept delivering and delivering. And your vehicle to teach me, it just resonated. I like, okay, well, this makes sense. There's a path out of this. And I could actually win. I could see that I could win at it because you could teach me how to do it.
Awesome. So tell us about the quality of your leads or the people that were coming into your world before we got together.
Before I met you, I had no way to pre-qualify them, to find out if they were just curious, but not. Women in my age group on Facebook are many are very, very goal driven, but I didn't know how to reach them. And you helped me reach them, pre-qualify them, initiate conversations with them, and just run with it.
I love that. And pre-qualification is so important because I, like you, I got tired of dealing with all the looky-loos and the freebie seekers. There's a meme out there that says you can pick my brain as soon as your invoice is paid. Which I love that. So by using Facebook ads, you were really able to target the ideal women that women that you wanted to work with and that you wanted to help with your business. So tell us about some of the conversations that you've been able to have as a result of us working together.
I wasn't prepared for the flood of women at first, so I had to quickly get up to speed with how to talk with them quickly and figure out if they were serious about creating a pension so they could stop work. Many didn't even believe that there was a way to fix the situation that they were in. So I've had many mindset conversations since meeting them, and it just kind of snowballs. And now they're all in my Facebook group, and I can interact with them there. And I had 0 people in my Facebook group before I met you.
I love that. And, I shared with you a movie called, I guess it was a PBS special called Duty Free. Yeah. And it was about a woman with children, and one of her sons had special needs, even though they were grown. And she was in her late 50s and had to go out and look for a job. And there's so many women that are in that trap. And I call it a trap because ageism is real, When you're 58 and you're going out looking for jobs and you're competing with people half your age and twice your education, it's not easy. And more importantly, it's really discouraging and it can be overwhelming also. So I love how your business helps women kind of come out of the fog and the dark and get into the light and see a true path to retirement freedom, which is super, super awesome. Yeah. Now, one of the things I talk about in my training is the problem solution ladder, right? Yes. What's the problem? What's your solution? So as you've embarked on this journey with me, you've actually had to go through multiple stages. So at first you just wanted people in your business, right. And then you found out you had to supply more. So tell us about that.
The supply more is a lot of helping them understand that they could run their own business and they could actually duplicate what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And that's huge because now not only do I have a huge recommendation of who to send them to get, so they're not learning from me, they would be learning from someone like you of how to move very, very quickly and not spend the first 10 months wringing their hands trying to figure it out. Mm-hmm. So they're looking for solutions, and it's not they understand that it's not a hobby anymore. It's a job.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So get the best teachers, the best tools, and chase it so that you can pick a date, retire, and not be working when you want to be out having fun.
I love that. And one of the things that we talked about as well is the fact that it's not just Facebook ads. We've had this conversation. The ad is just like one piece of the overall puzzle. So,
Right.
can you talk to us about the level of support that you've been able to get outside of just Facebook ads?
All of the teaching that you have in at your site is really it's almost intrusive. I mean, you've already thought through what I'm going to need, and it's there. Sometimes you have to point me dead at it to say where it's at, but it's there, and that's I don't spend time trying to research a solution. I go to your tool set first. If I can't find it, I ask the question. If you don't have immediate answer, you get an answer and we move forward. I don't stay in overwhelm anymore because I know that you will figure out what I need using the words that I use, sometimes very simplistic. It doesn't work, or I don't understand, and you can get me there. So the tool sets that you have are spot on. They take you at the very beginner level, and then every little touch point along the way, you hit it, and it works. It works because I use it.
Yes. Well, Joe, speaking of touch points, you came out the gate like a thoroughbred, like you were at the Kentucky Derby. You followed that 6-week plan, and within 6 weeks, we had your ad up and running and ready to go. So, thinking about the membership portal, like I said, there's a lot that goes into it. You kind of started at the beginning, you wrote out your content, you got your email series together and everything. So when we pulled the trigger on your Facebook ad, were you ready for the results that you got?
No, I was still living in disbelief. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do everything I'm supposed to do, and then we're gonna do this thing. We're gonna do it, and it was immediate. It was absolutely immediate. I mean, we did all of our testing of copy and images and headlines, and as you kept saying, when we get down to the one that works, it just works. So I use it. It's not that I won't go and make another one, but what I have right now is keeping me moving every day.
I love that. And then one of the benefits of using Facebook ad, of course, is pre-qualified prospects. And I don't want to get into your financial business. However, I do want to discuss the benefits of qualified people coming into your world. What does that mean to the growth of your business, knowing that these are people who can afford your program?
It's huge because you can bring in somebody into my program and you can give it to them for free. It's not that they need to have money to get started. They have to have the need and the want to do it. And that's actually the pre-qualifying that we do on the front end. They are actually taking in every bit of content that I give them, and they're raising their hands and they're asking questions and they're saying, please include me. And I do. It's been absolutely wonderful to be able to tell that they want to have their own business.
Well, you told me something in one of our accountability calls that we had sometime this month, because we have 3 calls a month. With those 3 calls a week. And you told me something earlier this month that really touched my soul and warmed my heart. And you told me that from our time together, you've almost recouped all the money that you spent with other people that didn't work. How does that make you feel?
It took a lot of courage to try again, but I'm coming up on the end of 2021. I mean, I'm one of those people that is going to put 2021 in the rearview mirror. I mean, I started really, really rough. I couldn't do the work. I could do the work, but wasn't getting results. And now I get results, and I am literally going to recover all my starter mistakes, my beginner boo-boos, whatever you call it, where I couldn't perform. It's really exciting. I am so excited for 2022. It's unbelievable.
Well, I love that, Joe, because I am all about getting people off the struggle bus and
Yeah.
getting them on the bullet train to success. I've been on the struggle bus. I got a pass for a transfer, and they put me on another struggle bus. But what made the difference for me is paying to get the right coaching, right? So I talk about how, when you think about formal education, it was nothing for me to come out of college with my bachelor's and 37,000 in debt, right? It was nothing for me to come out of college with my master's and another $70,000 in debt. But when it comes to investing in what we do, what are some of the fears that you've been able to overcome? And what would you tell somebody scared to invest?
I think that investing in coaching is critical, and specifically with you is that you could have ran me through a 6-week program and said see you, but your program continues on. And that's the value for me, is that I can continue to grow with you. And I think it's really, really important for someone to find a coach that's not a short-term gig, because you grow so much and you're working with other people on the team. So as you're learning from everything that they're going through, completely different businesses, completely different mindsets, but you learn how to solve problems together and work with one another, and you facilitate that. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, I was allowed to raise my hand and say, well, what about this or what about that? And you didn't shut it down. You don't have that ego that stops other people from growing in this space. So.
Awesome. Well, I love the camaraderie that we have as a team. I feel like we're a little family, and we celebrate everyone's success, which is also nice. So we are each other's cheerleaders. And I love when we were on with Levan, who I'm going to interview tomorrow, and we were able to celebrate his wins, right? And the fact that we came together because we actually had a little hiccup with Levan. One of the softwares that we were using for his landing page and autoresponder just didn't work. And you came in like the superwoman you are and said, hey, use this. So that's one of the things I think helps with working in a team environment, is that we all can feed off of each other and build and grow. So thank you for sharing that as well. Now, in terms of your business, again, you help women create a 5-year plan so that way they can retire with ease and work only if they want to, not because they have to. So you mentioned in the beginning that you had to learn how to have the quick conversations. So tell us about some of those beginning conversations where they were just pouring out their soul to you.
Yeah. Initially, when I first started, I learned very quickly that I'm making friends for life in this business. And the people that I'm meeting and the people that I'm working with, I will always know them. So knowing their story and knowing where their challenge is, I found out that I'm not unique. We're all sharing in this ageism field where if you get out of the workforce, you're not getting back in. Right. And if you get back in, it's not in what you were doing. And time and time again, I'm running into women who, for whatever reason, they had to care for somebody, or whatever the reason is that they stopped in their career, they weren't able to get back in. And if for a lot of us, working from home now is what you have to do. Going to look for a job outside of home is almost not going to happen either if you're of a certain age. They're just not going to hire you. So there's a lot of conversation around, how do you be successful at home? How do you do it? How do you keep your head together? How do you keep your mindset? How do you make money? How do you make money to live on this week, next week, this month, next month? And then what am I going to do when it's time for me to retire? Because many of us don't want to keep working in retirement.
Exactly. We worked our whole lives, at some point we want to take a break and not work anymore. That's what retirement's all about.
Exactly. Exactly.
Awesome. I love that. Well, Joe, one of the things that I found through working with you and other people in our group in terms of the problem solution ladder is how to have the conversation to make the sale, right? A lot of people are really uncomfortable when it comes to asking for money. And we've got a whole module on how to have that sales conversation. So, can you tell us a little bit how my training has helped you have those confident conversations?
Um, it was invaluable to me because it helped me stop and say, well, I'm talking to people who are solution unaware. They don't realize that there's a fix or a path or a hope or a prayer of digging themselves out.
Mhm.
So then breaking down their limiting beliefs what is a little bit of a struggle, but again, you walk us through that. This is what it's going to sound like, and because it sounds like this is how you can help them get to inspire them towards action.
Mhm.
And then again, I'm not unique, my story is not unique, but it is a story and it's authentic. And for those that do not know it, I work in a company that has granted me a pension. They have. I know that if I work until I'm 67 years old, my pension will pay me $383 a month. And
Mhm.
that's just not going to get me down the road to the travel and the fun and the leisure and the activities that I want to do. So by the time I get through that ladder and get to my call to action, which is offering them direction,
Mhm.
it's so much easier. But I could do none of that before I took your course. Honest, I
Awesome.
couldn't.
Well, thank you for the vote of confidence because, as I've grown and evolved, I'm constantly training and I want to make sure that I am that one stop shop. What started out as just, okay, I'm going to teach you Facebook ads.
Yeah.
It grew into, all right, let's get some consistency and congruency on your social media. Okay, let's come up with content that is going to connect and resonate with your ideal client, customer, business partner. Okay, let's talk about how you're going to have the sales conversation. And we even went as far as building out your lead magnet. So coming up with your offer, tell us how we work together to come up with your irresistible offer.
Um, that was overwhelming task for me. And with you, it was like, okay, hit them. You had me in the right age group, in the right demographic. I when I had to go to actually put words to paper about what to say to them,
Mhm.
it all became glue and it came together. And my lead magnet also is threaded into my email
Mhm.
um, follow-ups.
Mhm.
So they're consistently getting the message over and over again.
Mhm.
And by the time they meet up with me in my Facebook group, they already feel like they know who I am. So that lead magnet is so important. And I've watched you do lead magnets with others, and it's the same thing, completely different business, but
Mhm.
it's perfect. I mean, the words are right. You help say, no, that doesn't sound right. No, say it this way. No, the picture, fix this, fix that. And we fix it and we keep on fixing it.
Mhm.
And I may make a new lead magnet soon, but my first one has been a winner. It's just
Yes.
been a winner.
I love that because I think we both have that right brain thing going on where we overanalyze stuff. You're in IT, I'm in an engineer, so we kind of have that same over analysis gene where we just can't help ourselves. So tell me how I helped you break out of the perfection model. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. Done is better than perfect. We've heard that before, but just because we say it doesn't mean we do it. So how did you break out of that?
um, I really had to embrace in the spirit of moving forward. Here it is,
Yep.
you know. And if we had to revisit it 3 or 4 times, I just kept putting it out there until you said, "Yeah, this is it. Now we can go. You're ready. You're ready. You're ready." But you really have to believe in imperfect action.
Yes.
And that is alien to me. It's like, no, 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 everything has to be perfect, perfect. No, no, no. It's like, make sure that it's clear, and give it to Cecilia, and she'll tell you if it's good enough. And if it's not good enough, she'll kick it back, and then we go at it again. But yeah, imperfect action is extremely important in a group setting. And that's what I learned from this, is that you have a true group setting where we can talk to one another and we can say, no, um, that doesn't work, or we like that, or it just works.
Awesome. Now, you also mentioned something that kind of might have slipped through on our audience, but is so critical, the email follow up.
Yeah.
And how, everybody says the fortune's in the follow up, the fortune's
Yeah.
in the follow up. But if you don't know how to do it, then it doesn't matter. So,
Right.
what did you learn from going through setting up your email follow up series?
Oh my goodness. So, my email system, I could never ever find anyone that I could talk to about it. And then I meet you and you're like, oh yeah, no problem. And the minute that worry came off, then I was able to actually use the software, because whenever I got stuck in it, I would say, well, what about this? And you would say, oh, not a problem. Click, 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 and we're moving again. And I was able to build my email, but more importantly, it also ties to my Facebook group. So I am capturing their emails there. And so now I'm like multi-level tagging inside my email responses. So if you haven't joined my group, you're hearing about me from this vertical, but if you're in my group, you're getting all this other stuff. And I continue to provide value through my email automation. It's just incredible that has been the biggest vehicle to move me forward. And it may be, again, my demographic, where we read emails.
Yeah.
We communicate in emails. It's not always just in Messenger. So it's huge. Email is huge.
Love that. Love that. And the email is huge. And, we come from a certain era where we didn't have Messenger and all the instant stuff. So I can't help but check my email. So that is, and a lot of people still do. A lot of people want to say email's dead or email doesn't work, but that's not the case. Now, in terms of your open rates, have you looked at your email open percentages to see where you're at there?
My open percentages are really, really high.
Okay.
And you had me build out like a 10 email depth of the first round. And then I took your advice and just kept adding on to it. Mm-hmm. And they continue. The open rates are still there. I only have 12. Is
that me?
I only have 12 people in since I've started with you that have unsubscribed. But
wow.
But I have I've added 270 subscribers since I've met you. So to me, that's huge.
That is major. Awesome, Joe. Kudos. Now, you mentioned something that's near and dear to my heart, which is Facebook groups. Mark Zuckerberg spent God knows how many millions doing a commercial during the Super Bowl in 2017 about Facebook groups. And they're doing more and more stuff with Facebook groups. So again, going back to the problem solution ladder, I've given you, I think, 2, maybe 3 different softwares that you can use to help enhance your presence in your Facebook group. How has it been to have those additional tools that I've given you?
It's fabulous. It's fabulous because one of them allows me to bring people into my group and then automatically send them a message, so they get a welcome message through Messenger. Mm-hmm. And it's just been immeasurable. I can't tell you how many women respond just to that welcome message. And it's just great. That, to me, Group Convert is like my favorite of all. and the new one that we're doing, that L Messenger one, that one is going to grow. It's going to make legs because it helps a lot.
Awesome. I love that. And, I'm all about the automation. That's why when I do my 5-day, Thursday is my favorite day because that's Automation Nation and why it's so important. And then I think groups are important because, again, it gives you that sense of you're not alone. And with your niche and the women that you help, they want to know that they're not alone because, when you are getting close to retirement and you're looking at your money and looking at your lifespan and you're going to outlive your money, that's a scary feeling. So to know that there's other people like you out there and to have you have a home for them, I think is really going to take your business to the stratosphere.
Yes.
Fantastic. So with you, your Facebook ads, you have mentioned, 270 new people, 70 plus new people that have come into your world since we've been together. One of the other tools is the calendar, having people schedule on your calendar. So I know in the beginning you were getting a little overwhelmed. You're like, I can't, I got to eat lunch and I don't have time for lunch. So how does that work together with scheduling yourself to where you have time for your new people, your current people, and yourself? How is that transition since we've been working together?
You can very quickly put yourself in overwhelm if you do what I did, which is like, oh my goodness, just leave my calendar wide open and just let everyone take up your time. And if you did, what I have learned since the bigger thing on calendaring is that I have to schedule everything because I have figured out that if I don't schedule everything, somebody will take up my time. Mm-hmm. So I make sure that everybody that comes into my calendar gets the right amount of time, but then I, like you said, we'll put a break in there between one before you go to one to the next.
Right.
And it's like, duh, but it works. It just works. And now I have a consistent flow and I'm much more calmer about talking to people. And I'm not, in the mindset of the previous conversation because I've built time into it. So it works. I would have never, ever known to use Calendly to do that. I would have never known to do that.
Awesome. And then one of the other tools we put in place with Calendly is the questionnaire. So you can ask those specific questions, which helps you further pre-qualify the people that come into your world as well.
Right. Exactly.
Well, Joe, I know you are super busy and I'm so thankful and grateful that you spent this time with me today. I'm excited to share. I have like the before and now I have the after. And I love how far you've come and you have a rinse and repeat system. You know how to create lead magnets. You know how to test and scale your Facebook ads. And now we're going to move on to creating lookalike audiences and retargeting, which is going to be fun as well. Right. So you have definitely come a long way and you are one of the many people. I'm just so humbled and honored that you trusted me to get you off the struggle bus and on the bullet train to success. Now, do you have any closing words? Because I know you're an IT person. So before I forget, and Joe works in the IT field, and we want to thank you for what you do because I consider you behind the lines of the front line that are helping us through this pandemic. So thank you for what you do to keep the hospital systems running, to keep our charts secure and accessible. So I don't want to take too much more of your time away from that. But how can how can women who need to create a 5-year plan for their pension, how can they get in touch with you?
The fastest way to get a hold of me is through the Facebook group. Ask to join. It's a private group, wisestwoman.com, and come in there and I will pick you up and we'll go from there.
Awesome. So if you are one of the women who are of a certain age and have not planned for retirement, not your fault. There's a lot of things that have happened in the world. 2008, when the housing crisis wiped out everybody's 401k, 13 years later, we're still trying to recover from that. And then the pandemic, and God knows 40 million plus people lost their jobs and they were living off of their retirement or living off their savings. So it's not a matter of placing blame if you're not prepared for retirement, but it's also a matter of let's look forward, not backwards. forward. So reach out to Joe at wisestwomen.com. WOMAN, Wisest Woman. Yes, wisestwomen.com. I'll put the link in the, you know what? Let me do it now because then I can pin it to the top. While I'm putting the link to your Facebook group, please share some final thoughts with our audience on what it's like to work with me, what you suggest for people who are on the fence about working with me, and the value that you're getting from our time together.
The biggest value is you're always available and working. You get that we're working at odd hours and around the clock, and the responsiveness. I don't have to wait on solutions. When I get stuck and I raise my hand, you're immediately there to help me keep me moving. So there's no waiting, which is huge. Other coaches can leave you from one week to the next until you meet with them in group before they answer your question. And that just doesn't work for someone that is doing multitasking like I am, trying to do two things at once. So I think that that's one of the biggest values, is that your attentiveness to each and every one of us, and you reach us where we're at. I mean, you get that sometimes it takes a phone call, sometimes it takes showing it on the screen, sometimes it takes talking about it 15 times until we get it. You do that.
Awesome. Well, and that's the thing that I think a lot of coaching programs are missing, is that you can't just say we're going to meet once a month.
Exactly.
And we give you 3 days a week. How does that work for you?
It's perfect for me, and I highly recommend it for other people, because the term is called an accountability call. And I love that, because it's like, you know exactly where you left off with me on one day. And then the next time you run into me, it's like, where are we with this? You don't skip over. It's not that you forget what it was that we were doing. You know exactly where I was, and we just pick up and keep going. So I love that it's called an accountability call. I love it. I think everyone needs that.
All right. And then last but not least, let's talk about the investment. You know, a lot of people, we both have spent a lot of money in training, and we didn't get the bang for our buck. So can you talk about the investment for working with me, and for anyone who's on the fence? And I know it's the holidays and you got Christmas and things like that, but can you talk a little bit about the investment?
The investment in working with you, I think that you undercharge for the amount of time that you've spent with me.
Thank you.
I think that your course is worth much more, the courseware that you have, than you give it credit. I don't know when I get to the end of my program that I will actually go away. I'll probably re-up and start over, if that's something that's allowed, because the investment to me is going to be a lifelong growth, and I want to grow to become more like you. And I don't want it to end and then think I can go and find somebody else. That I don't think that that's going to happen.
Well, that warms my heart, Joe. And because I've been burned more times than I care to think about, I have spent more money than I care to discuss on programs before I found what worked for me. I found a coach, a mentor, and I've got 3 accountability partners that are in my tribe. And I told myself, I don't want to be that person, right? I don't want to I don't want to do the 6 weeks, go have at it, right? And then I wanted to be that one-stop shop. So thank you for sharing your experience as working with me and also in your business. And it just really makes me feel good to know that I have renewed your faith in your business, and that you can see success and you're helping other women. And like you said, a pension is not not going to sustain you. $350 a month, that's like, well, after you buy groceries, how you going to pay the light bill?
I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love that your focus is women. Not that men don't need help with pensions as well, but a lot of times we as women get caught up in the money trap because we are so many things to so many people. So for those women out there, again, that are a certain age and want to make sure they secure their retirement, I've dropped the link on how to connect with Joe through our Facebook group. It's the pinned comment, so it's at the very top. And I know from Joe that she's going to take good care of you once you come into her world. So thank you, Joe, for your time today. I really appreciate it. I love and enjoy working with you, and I'm looking forward to the future that we're going to build together.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. If you are watching replay, just give us a hashtag replay. If you have any questions or comments about what Joe and I discussed today, please drop those in the comments because I do answer them within 24 hours. And if you want to find out more about my Facebook ad workshop, drop that in the comments as well. I'll be more than happy to send you a quick 10-minute overview video. And again, Joe is helping women create a pension in 5 years or less. So hit her up in her group at wisestwomen.com. Thank you again, Joe.
Thanks.